The Disabled Christian Fellowship. Come and see our respite care home in 5 King Street, Newcastle. That's our website. Managers. Come and see the staff. Have lunch at the DCF home with Saintfield and friends. Elaine's going to feed one of our disabled friends who can't feed herself.
Hear about Jesus or hear, but I know now that we have the TV and we have all these Christian programs on TV and things are maybe a bit better now, but then they wouldn't have had that. And she started, she wrote articles based on scripture. She'd made a good preacher, very, very good, and wrote poems and got a little magazine produced called The Vital Link. And at the beginning they just posted that out to disabled people. I don't know how she did it, I didn't know her, but this is what I've been told. And this little magazine was posted to as many disabled people as they knew. And then I suppose in the day centres they told each other about it, and then more and more people were receiving this, and then they were able to phone each other up through the magazine. You know, they had a wee phone link. So that was how the work started, in a very simple way like that. But God was in it, and there would have been a rally or a meeting organised for disabled people in Bristol, and they just had one every 3 months, and there would have been, someone told me there was about 500 disabled people with those meetings. Can you imagine organising a tea for 500 disabled people? So that's the way it started, and then now I know that there have been 5 different centres in Bristol alone, and they meet monthly. And in the early 60s there was a Mr. Evans who worked for the Bristol Evangelist, Bristol, something like the Belfast City Mission. Bristol, I don't know what it was called, it was a Bristol City Mission, but it was a similar to work to what your city mission is doing in Belfast. And he became involved with this work, and then the Lord called him out of what he was doing to get this work on a better footing. And it was registered as a charity and then became known as D.C.F. And there was you'll be really pleased to hear this, because it was a Presbyterian minister who brought this work to Northern Ireland. A Reverend Dixon, you called him. I think he was up in Cloy or something like that. Maybe he's gone to heaven now, I'm not sure. But this work was brought to Northern Ireland by this Presbyterian minister who had been over in Bristol. And maybe he was speaking at one of the meetings, I don't know, but he met Mr. Evans, and he saw this great work going on among the disabled, and he thought, you know, we need something like this in Northern Ireland. So he came home with a real vision to get something done in Northern Ireland. And he must have worked very, very hard, because he came back in '64 with about it, and the work was started in '65 in September, and they had their first meeting in East Belfast. So he probably took lots of meetings in Belfast, but wasn't that wonderful, you know, to come back with news about it in '64 and then to have the work started in '65. So initially we were part of the work in England. We're known as the DCF, but Now we have become separate from England. We're sort of on our own now. The committees all felt it was better that, because we really need to see the work maybe extended to the south of Ireland, although that is a very tough assignment to get similar work down in the south, because of the way that the Christians are so, you know, there wouldn't be as many in one area, so it's quite a big task that. But this is what they felt whenever we changed over. It was a number of years ago. You'll hear on the tape. And at present we have 23 branches throughout Northern Ireland. And how did I become involved? You were asking me, you're going to tell, but it's quite a big story. But I was fostered and I didn't go home. I was a nurse. I trained in Lurgan and then I went to Belfast to do my midwifery training. And I didn't go home on my days off the way the nurses all would have gone home. I might have gone to some of the nurses' homes from time to time. And I was brought up in a church where I'd become a Christian when I was only 16, and I was really involved in the church in CEF and CE, not CE, and quite a lot of other things. And I was used to being busy in the Lord's work, and I remember I said to the Lord, Lord, is there some work maybe in Belfast that you would want me to do for you, because I'm hanging about here in my days off, and I'm not a shop, you know the way people go to the shops. Daisy will tell you that I'm not really one for going to the shops too often. I go when I have to go, but I'm not a shop person. And a nurse came to me one day, just out of the blue, and she said, would you like to help in DCF? And I said, what's DCF? So she told me, and I said, fine. So that's how I got involved. This girl from, she came from Kilkeel actually, she was nursing with me. So I got involved, and that was back in 1969, so I've been in the work since 1969, which is more years than I want to think about. That's quite a long time ago. I helped initially in that first branch that was formed in East Belfast in '65. I helped in it in a small way, and then I lived, I was doing my midwifery in the city hospital, so I lived in University Street in South Belfast. And at one of the meetings they said about that they were hoping to get a branch started in South Belfast. So I was really excited because it would save me travelling way over to East Belfast. So that's how I got involved in getting the South Belfast branch going. And that gave me a lot of work to do in nursing, because I was really busy. And you know, the girl that was organising the beginning of this other branch in South Belfast, she handed me a piece of paper with all these names and streets and all, and she said, would you go and contact all those people for me and see their names, the thing that social services had given, and that they're all disabled. And I was shaking. You know, I wouldn't be now, maybe the same, but I was then, because I was a country girl. I had to go around all these streets in Belfast and around South Belfast. And you know, we got that branch started with 35 people, and it's still going today, and there's over 100 folk go to it. Well then, I felt God calling me to Bible college, so I went into Bible college in Belfast. I'll not tell you all about that, but I went to Belfast Bible College for 2 years, and I was sure that I was going to go out as a missionary, and I even had the country picked and everything. This is what I thought I would be doing, and I thought God wanted me to do it. But when I tried to go, all the doors shut, and then God showed me clearly that He wanted me to start and do deputation work for DCF. At that time there was just 5 branches, 4 in Belfast and 1 in Lurgan. So you can see there's a great need to get the work extended. So that's how I started deputation work, and I did that for 10 years, and we've gone up now to I think there's only 2 branches since I stopped deputation work, but all those branches were all formed. It was just wonderful, you know, as you went to different places and told about the work, how God raised up people in all these different areas, and you'll see on the slides just the different places where we now have branches. And at present, there's a lot happened now from then to now. I met Desi whenever we were doing, well, I'll tell you about the holidays first, and that's how I met him. But at present, Desi and I are both involved in the Saintfield branch It's the newest branch and the smallest, really a small branch. So we're involved in helping them there on a monthly basis. Holidays, we all love our holidays, don't we? And you know, whenever we were working with these people, we realised that a lot of them, they didn't know what a holiday was. They never got on holidays. Now the disabled, especially younger disabled, have many opportunities to go on holidays. Probably get better holidays than some of us do, because they go to these skiing holidays, even some of the disabled. But then there was nothing like that, and these folk just never got a holiday. So with the Lord's help, many, you were talking about being short of workers tonight, but you know, when you're doing this, people, I don't know nowadays, it's very tough to get workers now. So, alright. None of our equipment blown up around it.
Somebody's got attacked.
You know, when this was in the 70s, people were more than willing to help, but nowadays I think it's so hard to get people to help or to be willing, but anyway, that's beside the point. When we needed them, we got them, and we got so many helpers, and we organised holidays. I'm sure you're going to say, now where did you take them for holidays? Well, we went to Bangor. I'm sure you've heard of the Cripples Institute. Well, we got some of their buildings for July and August, and we took them there for holidays. The first holiday was held in '79, and then next year with only one holiday, then the next year 2, and then the next year 3, and I think we got up to seven different holidays being held every year in different places. And you know where we had to go for holidays? To schools. We had to get schools, and we had to get beds and commodes and all that. But men with lorries brought all this stuff for us. I mean, I couldn't begin to tell you all the work. But it was tremendous. And people were so willing to work hard. And we did that for a number of years. And then the holidays were such a great blessing, and people were getting saved. I mean, I was just thinking, Desi, there of, do you remember there was a wee lady she was 84, from Sandy Row, and she had a tongue, oh dear, filthy tongue in her head. I used to say, I'd take that tongue out and wash it, you know, and she used to laugh. And she got saved. And then a wee lady, remember the wee lady in 90 that got saved?
Mrs. McCusker,
Mrs.
92.
McCusker. I mean, she got saved when she was 90, and she lived till she was 92. But she was 90. And she had a great testimony.
The D.C.F.I.
Yeah, because she wasn't affiliated, her people had no interest in church, and she wasn't attached to any church. And they asked if D.C.F. would bury her. She made a brother-in-law in D.C.F.I. did the burial service. And she was so bright for the Lord, and those, you know, so you see. And it just, tremendous when you look back. So, we're really, you know, those venues were okay, but they weren't really suitable, you know, and we started to pray about it, and that was the time I met Desi, whenever I was doing one of those holidays in Bangor. I met Desi. He came as a voluntary helper. I used to go around the church and ask for people to help, and that's how I met him. He worked in the shipyard. But you worked in the shipyard, and then you were going to go to New Transmission, weren't you, to do joinery work, and it had fallen through because the no money or something. And he was in the church one night. I actually used to do a lot of singing, and I was singing at this church, and I asked the pastor if I could ask for help. And he was in the church with his 2 friends that night, and he was looking for something to do on his 3-week holiday. So he came round, I mean, there's quite a few of them came round that night to talk to us and offered help. So that was how I met Desi. And how we ended up with each other is another story, but it happened that night anyway. But some of us in DCF felt, you know, we should have our own place, our own home, and we really prayed about it, and we know that God led us to have a home for our own.